We are now recording. Okay, so we're here with Donna how do you say your last name? I'm sorry. McGee. I don't want to chop it. Okay, Donna McGee, and she's going to be telling us her story of CRPS and that she's had for 14 years. We are going to say a prayer now, and then Donna will tell us her history. Father, in the name of Jesus, before I say this, tonight I'm going to do a little prayer different, that I'm going to use a prayer from out of the Avail Much book, and it's for health and healing. So, Father, in the name of Jesus, I confess your word concerning healing. As we do this, we believe and say that your word will not return to you void, but will accomplish what it says it will. Therefore, we believe in the name of Jesus and am healed according to 1 Peter 2:24. It is written in your word that Jesus himself took our infirmities and bore our sickness. Therefore, with the great boldness and confidence, we say on the authority of the written word that we are redeemed from the curse of sickness and refuse to tolerate its symptoms. Father, we also ask you that that people who hear the show tonight will also be touched and be able to learn something and pass the education on. And we thank you for all your blessings. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay, Donna, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your history?
Okay. You want me to start at the beginning when it all happened?
You can, sure.
Okay. Well, it happened in May 14 years ago. I owned a dry cleaner at the time in upstate New York, and a busload of people had pulled up, and it was full with handicapped children, or I should say children and adults, and something happened to their vehicle, and the people that were taking charge of the children ended up coming into my dry cleaning store, and I was getting I turned around to go get help on the phone for them, and as I picked up the phone, someone came up behind me and attacked me, and after that I don't remember too much more of that, and I was okay afterwards. The person had attacked my arm, and it took some time, for everybody to get him off of me. And,
wow, so sorry to hear that. Were they robbing your store?
No. This kid was severely mentally handicapped, and just for some reason, he just walked away from the group. I think there was like 6 of them in my store with 3 caretakers, I guess you call them. Mm-hmm. And he just walked away from the group and came after me. I didn't know him or anything. Mm-hmm. And he started squeezing my arm and pulling me down to the ground. And when I came to, I was in the back of my store, with several of my workers, and they were helping me. And we looked at my arm, and my arm just had like scratch marks on it from his fingernails. There was a little bit of blood, and his hand mark was on my hand. Mm-hmm. But I could use my arm. My arm seemed okay, and they left. And about 2 hours later, everybody said, "You ought to go have that looked at." And I said, "Oh, it's okay." I was like 130 pounds, but I was in the greatest shape. I could lift 60 pounds. I was very, very physical. Mm-hmm. And I went to the emergency room. They took X-rays. And the doctor gave me a tetanus shot, and he said, "Donna, I think you just have contusions to your arm, and just put ice, and but keep using it so you don't get sore and it doesn't lock up and everything. But I think you're going to be fine. If not, see your regular doctor." Mm-hmm. So I went home. I put the ice on my arm. It was a little sore, and the next day I got up. It was really, really sore, and I had this burning in it. And I figured, with the muscles and, the trauma of being squeezed to death, I guess I called it. And as the days went by, the pain was getting worse and worse and worse, and I kept getting this burning sensation in the upper part of my arm where he had granted. And then I started noticing it about 4 days later. It got the feeling going up into my neck and into the back of my head. So I made an appointment with my doctor, and I went in, and he agreed with the emergency room that it was just severe contusions. The guy squeezed my arm to death, and it's going to hurt a little bit, but if I had any more problems, to see him. So over the next 6 weeks, I think I saw him 4 more times. And he even took an x-ray at his office just to make sure, that it wasn't swelling too much or whatever. And he said that there still was some swelling, but nothing looked broken. So then the pain started going down into the forearm and into my hand, and I started getting tremors. And I was like, oh my God, something is, seriously wrong. And by the time I went back for another visit, I sat down in his chair and he looked at me, he goes, why are you guarding your arm? I said, because it hurts like the dickens. He goes, well, do you know your shoulder is all the way up by your ear? And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, you're guarding yourself so much you have your shoulder all the way up by your ear. I was like, all I know is that it hurts and there's something is wrong with my arm. And it had some modeling, I believe. That's what he called it back then. But it really didn't have any swelling or anything to it. And he sat and he looked at it, and he, examined it and was pulling on it and all this. And he goes, kid, he goes, I'll never forget these words, Maria. He said, good God, he said, I hope you are not coming down with RSD. And I was like, well, now what is that? I've never heard of that before. He goes, well, you don't want to hear about it. He goes, because what it is a very painful condition, and there's no cure for it.
That just sort of blows me away, the way that he told you that, and like you're coming down like a cold. But the whole thing, the way that he sort of frightened me.
It was like, what are you saying? You hope I'm not coming down with it? Is it like cancer? That's the first thing I thought of. Is it cancer? Going to die? Or I was scared.
Absolutely.
So he said, I think I'm going to refer you to a orthopedic guy. I want him to take a look at your shoulder. So I went to an orthopedic guy, and he said that I had a rotator cuff tear and soft tissue damage. And I asked him about RSD, and he says, well, I really don't know that much about it, he said, but you have to trust your primary about it. And I was thinking, okay, we're in trouble here, Don, after I left that. So he took all his x-rays and got me all scheduled for surgery, and I went back to my doctor and I said, this guy's not touching me. If I have something weird, I want somebody who knows about it. He goes, he gave me a bunch of pamphlets, and he says, go home, go on the computer, look up Dr. Husman, I believe it was, and Dr. Schwartzman, is it? I believe he's those, like, 2 pioneers for the RSD.
Hello? I'm sorry.
Hello? And that's what I started doing. I started researching, RSD. And I don't know if that was the best thing or the worst thing I could have ever did, because I was always one of those type of people where whatever problem I had, I could always fix. And it was like, no way, I do not have RSD. I can't afford to get RSD. So anyway, I proceeded to get worse and worse and worse, and I finally got an appointment in Manhattan to a good shoulder surgeon who knew something about RSD, but not everything. And he agreed with the other surgeon that I definitely needed surgery, but he said that the pain that I was having was not consistent with the injury I had that he saw on the x-rays. So I was reading where other people were going through the same thing, where the injury was not consistent with the pain I was having. So I went back to my doctor and I said, well, why is this? why is the pain so much more than what the injury is? Because that's what RSD does.
Mm-hmm.
So I went for the surgery in hopes that I would not get worse with my pain. And I remember, Maria, in the recovery room, the surgeon said to me, he goes, Donna, he said, at the time my name was Friend. He said, Mrs. Friend, he goes, I have to apologize to you. And I was like, oh, God. And I'm thinking, I'm all drugged up. I'm thinking, he saw the RSD in there. He saw the RSD in there. And he's like, the insides of the muscles of your arm, we literally had to sew them all back together. That's why you were in such terrible pain. And you're going to be in this, like, foamy cast for about 10 weeks. So I thought, oh, good God, but, this is great. This is why I had the pain. It's not RSD. It's because of all these muscles that were tore up and stuff. So I went home, and it was horrible for 10 weeks, healing from that surgery. And the pain was a million times worse. Then we proceeded with started to try to find pain medications that I could tolerate.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the type of person, Maria, I never even took Tylenol. If I had a headache, I'd lay down for a half hour and it would go away.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised with small children. I worked 16, 18 hours a day. I had no time for this.
Exactly. Yes.
And I never knew there was that many pain medications out there in the world. I didn't know there was that many medications. It's unbelievable. I mean, I went through the gamut of so many, like either you vomited, you broke out in hives, you couldn't breathe, they didn't do anything.
Do you remember some of the medications that you did try that did not work, and some of the medications that do work for you?
Well, it took them, believe it or not, it took over a year to find a medication that worked for me and I wasn't allergic to. And it was called Zydone.
Wow.
And a lot of people that I speak to today never heard of it, and supposedly it was something new back then. It's a synthetic codeine, because I can't take straight codeine.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
And it was, Maria, it was a lifesaver. And I continued. Now, I did not get what a lot of the other folks get is that terrible swelling and the edema in the arm and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I just, the burning pain where it felt like people were sticking hot pokers in my arm.
Mm-hmm.
Then I felt like I had someone give me an IV with ice on top of that. And it just went on, and I was thinking to myself, maybe this is just all in my head, regardless of all the people I spoke to, all the articles I read. And I ended up finally going to a psychologist, it was the best thing I could have ever done.
Did your skin change colors or anything? Did you have any other symptoms? What other symptoms besides the burning?
I had like purplish reddish circles on my arm, and I had the itches, something awful that I would scratch myself till I was almost raw. I was looking for my pain diaries, but I had them packed away somewhere because I thought that would be perfect. I kept the pain diaries for, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years. That was my solace, and I would write down every single little thing that happened and every little symptom.
So your CRPS, RSD CRPS, then you would say has, over the 14 years, it has changed dramatically in symptoms and in symptoms, I would say, and your life.
Yes.
From the beginning. Yeah.
Well, for a while there, I think the hardest thing that the RSD, chronic regional pain syndrome, changed was me. other than having to learn to deal with living in pain daily, and it also traveled up to the back of my neck and in my head. So, and it, oh gosh, I forget what the hell they called it. And it went over into the left shoulder, and they said that I had brachial plexus injury, I guess it is. I'm just trying to remember the thing. And all the specialists that I saw, which was up to today, has been about 19 or 20.
Wow.
They say that I was one of the lucky ones that I only reached stage 1. Like I said, I didn't get the edema or whatever. So it was a process of, with this psychologist, learning how to deal with living in pain, and learning, like I say, the biggest part was learning how to say goodbye to the person I was and learn to be a new person that has to live with pain.
What were some of the treatments and that you've gone through with your CRPS and RSD through the last 14 years?
Okay. I think the second year it took almost 2 years to find a pain doctor that did treat and understand.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
2 years, that's a long time.
He did a stellate ganglion block, and it worked. And it worked so well that when I woke up, I was actually looking for the pain. I was like, wait a minute, I've lived along with this pain, where is it?
I'd like to back up just a second, though. I want to ask you, why did it take you so long to find a pain management doctor? What were some of the factors?
Well, a lot of the doctors didn't know about it. A lot of doctors said, you don't have the edema, you don't have the swelling. I can't remember everything they told me, but they said that the physicality of the arm, it had some characteristics of RSD, but not all of them. And then I would whip out my papers from these, Dr. Hoosman and Schwartzman, and I'd say to them, but look, they say that every case is not the same and not everybody has those symptoms. And that's how long it took me. I went from Schenectady, New York, all the way down into New York City, Manhattan. I can't tell you how many people I went to that were like, mushy, you might have it. No, you don't have it, but I don't know what you have. You have nerve damage. They all agreed on that, that, I had nerve damage, but not a lot of them could agree on the RSD. I think there was just a couple, and then this one doctor I had found, which by chance was very close to where I live.
Was the nerve damage, when they agreed on the nerve damage, is that, did each one of them do like a EMG treatment? Or, okay, that's so cruel to us. Very painful.
Yes, I had an EMG that they could not even continue. That I had the first year of my accident. And it hurt so bad that I thought I was being electrocuted. And the pain was, I would have rather had 10 babies all at once. That's how bad it was.
Absolutely.
And I don't know.
It's cruel. I screamed during mine. They told me not to cry and scream, and it was very, very painful.
Matter of fact, I went through. I tried to go to physical therapy because they say, which I truly believe in, Marie. Even though we are in so much pain, that if you don't use it, you lose it, and you have got to use that limb as best you can, even if it's just moving it a little here and there. That the physical therapist, she tried all different types of things on me too, and because I just couldn't. My arm, I could get up so far, but I couldn't unbend the elbow. Today I can, but I still can't lift my arm up, the way you can straight up the way you can normally. And there were some methods that she used that I was ready to slam dunk her, and I know she was for me.
Yeah. Did you do aquatherapy in that, or?
Pardon?
Did you do aquatherapy at all?
No, they didn't do aquatherapy. They would smother my upper body with these hot, weighted things, and then once they got done, they would try deep tissue massage, which I couldn't handle. And there were times where I'd say to myself, one time I bit my tongue so bad it hurt. I just thought I had to buck up and go through it, Then they tried, they put these leads on me to send electrical current.
The TENS unit?
And I couldn't handle it. I would just scream and cry, and it just be where I couldn't go to physical therapy anymore, and I just had to learn at home what I had to do for myself.
And what kind of things did you learn through your process that worked for you?
Well, I have my best friend Harvey. My best friend Harvey is I think it's like 18 inches long, 10 inches wide. It's a heating pad I can stick in the microwave.
Okay.
That Harvey and I have been friends for 14 years. Matter of fact, we had another one. She was Ethel, but I had to throw her out. I burnt her up one time.
I haven't. That's the first time I've ever heard somebody name their heating pad. But that's pretty good.
I tell you, this is one thing, this was a personal choice for me. About 7 years ago, the RSD was so bad in my head that I was having headaches, dizziness all the time. And my arm, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, after 7 years, it got to be where I was okay with the pain. I was on nortriptyline and the Zydone. Those were the only two medications I was, taking. And it got to be where my pain was getting, when I was taking the Zydone, it started getting worse. And I never had that experience before. And I ended up where I was allowed to take 8 pills a day, but there were days where I took 8, or there were pills that 9, or I would take 10. So I was end up using 2 extra pills every couple of days. So I went to a new pain doctor, excuse me, and he told me, Donna, he goes, you're on too much medicine. I was like, okay, so what do we do? And he's like, well, you need to come off that medicine. I was like, okay, so what else do we go on? He goes, well, I want to do something to you that I know is going to take your pain away, and you're not going to need that medicine no more. And I said, friggin' fantastic. This is great. No more medication. And he said to me, he goes, you're having rebound pain, which I never heard of. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
No, I was just going to ask you what that was.
I guess after a while, when you take medications, they start not working, and when you take them, it makes your pain worse. I guess that's basically in a nutshell. I don't have all the medical terminology and jargon for you.
That almost sounds like what they use, I'm not saying that's what they name it, but to me, it reminds me of opiates. When you have taken the opiates for a while, they don't start to work, and on top of that, it creates many times like constipation and things, which causes other problems such as IBS, gastroparesis.
Let's not talk about constipation. Constipation is one of our biggest problems when you're on pain medication. And if that in the butt, excuse the expression, you're in a whole heck of a lot of trouble, because then you've got all those toxins in your body, plus all that medication. Keeping your bowels healthy is extremely important if you are on opioids or whatever else there is out there, which I know there's a million of them.
Yeah, I love my Miralax and my what is it called? I never can pronounce it right, but the psyllium seed. Hello?
Hi, it's Jane.
Hi, Jane.
How are you?
Good. And you?
Pretty good.
Good. We're on with Donna McGee here, and she's talking and telling us a little bit about her CRPS that she's had for 14 years. And right now we were talking about our favorite subject, constipation. So,
well,
go
I
ahead.
got to tell you, too, is that as of recently, well, I guess let's go back to that 7-year where we were with the constipation and everything and having to get off of the medication.
Mm-hmm.
I found what worked for me was trying to keep a little bit active, walking, and making sure that I had, at that time, I had a little bit of some sort of fiber in my stomach and drinking plenty of water.
Mm-hmm.
I know the more inactive I became, the worse it came.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only thing you can do is to take, over-the-counter stuff or if the doctor recommends something.
Mm-hmm.
But that is extremely important that everybody try to keep their bowels healthy, because then it's just something else that's going to make you feel absolutely miserable,
Exactly.
So anyway, after that, I had these procedures called denervation. And what it is, they went into the base of my skull on my left side, and they were going to kill 2 nerves. And let's just say my own personal opinion, my own personal responses, it was the most barbaric thing that I ever had done in my life. It was horrible.
I'm so sorry.
I've spoken to some people who had gotten relief where they didn't need the procedure a year or 2 or 5 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Some people who thought it was extremely barbaric. I mean, you're asleep when they do it, but when you wake up, there's holy hell to pay for it. You talk about RSD pain, talk about it in your head, and you're feeling it in your brain, and our brain has no feeling. It was horrible. So after that, I just decided, I don't know what it was, but like I say, everything that I'm talking about is all my personal choices and what I had to do for me. I decided I was going off medication, and I was going to try to find a natural way how to treat myself. Mind you, I didn't do any natural treatments or anything. To make a long story short, I weaned myself off of my medication. That was a horrible experience. 7 years of being on it. And I stood on the nortriptyline because that did help the tremors that I had in my hand and did help my headaches. I just, like I said, me and Harvey became extremely good friends. I had to learn to deal with the pain, and I learned to walk a lot. Whether someone can do that or not, I suggest it. Exercise was the best thing I did to increase for me. And I ended up learning to take Tylenol. Like I told you in the beginning, I never used to like to take any type of medication. And that's how I have been for the last 7 years now. Just on Tylenol. I had to go off of the nortriptyline a couple of years ago because it was giving me migraines. And I was doing really good. I could bear with the pain when I had bad days due to a storm. I used my arm wrong.
Hello?
Okay.
Go ahead, Donna, please.
I just bucked up with the pain, and after all the years of the doctors and everything, Maria, I just can't handle. I said to myself, I can't handle going to a doctor anymore and having them say, well, this isn't, CRPS, or this is it, but, I don't know how, after so many years, how to treat you, and we could try this medication, but I'm allergic to 95% of the medications out there. And it was just something, like I said, my personal choice, what happened to me, and that I chose not to be on medication.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
like I say, my RSD only, my arm always hurts, but it's not as bad as it was in the beginning. I'm very blessed, and I thank God for that. I say a lot of prayers to Him. But I recently had some surgery that awoke in the monster, and I just went to a new pain doctor Friday, I believe it was, and he said to me, he goes, well, looking at you, you don't have RSD. I says, well, I said, you fall into the 10 to 20% of the doctors that I've seen. I said, what do you think it is? He goes, well, I'm sure you have nerve damage and everything, but you're not swelled, and, you're not this, you're not that. And you know what, Marie? I said, here I go again. I'm not going to sit here and prove to a doctor that I'm having all this pain again and have to go through the ritual of all those tests where I know what I need to do. And I've just decided that for me, that I have to learn to live with the pain. And that's where I am today.
And I understand that so much because, going to new doctors all the time, you have to subject yourself to being, I call the guinea pig, and then you have the doctors that just don't believe you, or it's just it's exhausting. It's
You know what,
exhausting.
Maria? I found out over the years, and I've listened and I've watched and through my own experience, is that the drug addicts and the pill-pushing doctors have made it extremely, extremely difficult for people like us to get the proper treatment. The people who have wronged the medical system, Medicare and whatever. And when someone walks in and looks very healthy, and you tell them that you're suffering in pain and you're not sleeping, I don't think out of 14 years that maybe a half a year that I slept through a night. I think about that. I think about the way things are, and it's still back to the Civil War time, where when this first was discovered, we're still fighting our way to get treatment. I mean, there's a lot of doctors who are pretty good. I'm not saying they all are bad out there, but I just don't know what needs to change for people who don't have the physical symptoms to get the proper treatment. I don't know.
Right. That's why it's many times called the invisible disease. And it's not just the doctors that, some of the doctors, not all the doctors, some that, as you said, that have abused the system, but it's also many of people abusing drugs themselves that it hurts us, ones that aren't abusing the drugs, that need the drugs. And it's not just for CRPS and RSD, there's cancer patients and all other ones that are fighting for the same kinds of treatments, of getting their prescriptions and their drugs to help their pain, control their pain.
Right.
We're all
and you know what?
having to struggle through.
And a lot of the people now, I don't care what anybody says, a lot of the people that are put on pain medication, they end up being abusers because they're not being monitored correctly. Or they may be being monitored correctly, but the doctor has no control over how to treat the disease that they have. So he just keeps giving them pain medicine because out of his good heart, he hates to see them suffer. There are doctors like that. I've seen them. I've had them. So it's like, so where does that lead us? The government has stepped in. They have all these requirements. You can't have medicines over so many a month. Otherwise, the doctor loses his license. So we get mad at doctors who can't treat us because they're going to get in trouble for giving us medication. And it's like, so who's winning here?
I know that we're getting close to the end here, but I have some questions that I'd like to ask, and hopefully we can get through some of these questions.
Go ahead.
Donna, one of the things that I'd like to know is reinventing yourself. How did that work for you?
Reinventing myself?
Yes.
I love it. Well, I decided that it took me about 5 years, but I decided that this monster was not going to win. And with the good Lord, I'm sorry, I'm very Christian.
Don't have to be sorry about that.
I'm a Christian. I believe that I could have never, ever done it without God and
Amen.
also my grandson. My grandson gave me the twinkle back in my eyes. I decided that I wasn't going to let it get me, and that I had to, even if I couldn't work the 16, 18 hours a day like I did for, I don't know, since I think I was 12 years old, that I had to find another way of being a person again, feeling useful, helpful. And I became a published writer.
Awesome.
And I just published a book about 2 years ago. It's nothing about RSD. I love fiction, fantasy, stuff like that. And I'm working on a sequel. And it took me 5 years to get my book done because, as you know, we cannot sit too long and all that good stuff.
I know. I'm in the middle of a book.
Great. Everybody has to finally find something because, Maria, no matter how bad we hurt, no matter how many things we can't do, you have to find something that makes you feel good. Regardless of what other people say or whatever, you have to find that purpose in life for you again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know that with our illness comes depression. We all suffer depression. Even people that don't have chronic illness and it suffer from depression from at one time in their life. With complex regional pain syndrome and all the other illnesses, we know that they go hand in hand. I'd like to ask, how do you handle that? Is there tools that work for you, and how do you get through that?
How do I get through that? You promise not to laugh at me?
Absolutely. We all have our own ways, so there's no. Go ahead.
Okay. When I was really depressed in the beginning, I eventually sought out a psychologist who helped me immensely, and I recommend anybody who can see one sees one, because you would not believe the things that you tell him, and as you hear yourself telling him, it really helps you heal. I haven't seen him probably in 12 years, 10 years. My coping mechanism is I allow myself that day, if I'm feeling sorry for myself, depressed, I tell myself I am allowed to feel lousy today. And then after that, no more. No pity parties. You know what? You can't change what you have. This is it. Get up. Go sit outside. Anything that I can do to show that I have control. Because depression, to me, is fear. And when you let that fear grow inside yourself, it will overwhelm you. And like I say, I'm speaking for myself. And I will not allow it to take more than a day of my life and make me sad. When I think about how there's other people 10 million times worse off than me, dying of cancer, homeless, so many things, Maria. So many things.
Absolutely.
That's how I deal with it. I allow it to come. I allow myself to feel it. I say, okay, you're entitled to this, and then I let it go. And I'm like, no way, you're not controlling my life. And the best thing is to try to have medication. I personally, every medication I took for depression made me depressed. So I was not a candidate for anything else. The nortriptyline did help me a little bit. That just seemed to balance out, but it was a fight against, it was like a fight against something in me with depression to come out of it.
Yeah, I understand that. Another question that I'd like to ask you is, do you have certain techniques, Donna, that you use when your pain is really high to help you get through those moments?
Sure do.
Would you like to share them with us?
Sure. Being I'm not on pain medication, it gets very, very difficult. I get Harvey, my heating pad, and I heat it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I just take myself into, I deserve this rest, the hell with the housework, the cooking, whatever needs to be done, and I know that I have to take care of myself. I find a place where I can be comfortable, which most times we can't, but you do the best you can. I wrap my arm and my shoulder up in my heating pad, and I turn on the television, and I veg out, or I'll go and lay in a dark room and try to fall asleep. Well, right now I can't do it because I'm having problems with my legs, but usually, I used to try to take a walk. I just try to take myself outside of my body. I don't know if anybody can do that or not, but you just try to disconnect, and it's very difficult, but it's just like you have to take your mind away from it. And I learned that from the psychologist that I saw. And that's what works for me. The pain is always there. It's just sometimes the intensity can get so bad you just want to, sometimes my pain's so bad I want to rip my spine out. But that's what works for me, is my heating pad. I can't take baths. When I could take baths, I used to Epsom salt baths. They were the greatest relief.
Yeah.
That really, really helped. And stretching a little bit, just anything and everything that I can do, that's what I do. Different things work at different times, different pain levels. When it's really bad, all I can do is just cuddle up with my heating pad. And you know what's thing that's very bad for me? I don't know if other people have had it. If I'm having a flare-up, I cannot eat chocolate. It makes it 100 times worse.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, it does. Yeah, it does for me, too.
And I don't know why. Does anybody else have that?
Chocolate is inflammatory.
Ah.
Yes.
Besides fattening.
That too. Even though, dark chocolate's good for us, that it's inflammatory. It's just like ice cream or any other sweets and things like that. On Dr. Hushman's site there, you can look up the 4 F's, and they have a listing there of your inflammatories. Or, you can look up on the internet, inflammatory food.
Wow, see, I haven't looked at that stuff up in years.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
We forget.
I know.
We forget what they are at times. We convinced that we want the good stuff.
It is. It's like mood things, Like, well, I feel so bad. I'm just going to sit here with this chocolate bar, and I'm going to feel good about myself. Oh no.
It's an illusion. Let's see. So, with CRPS, some people have found things that are positive through the CRPS. What I'm saying is, if you didn't have CRPS, okay, or no, let's not put it like that either. Okay, there's positive and negatives with CRPS. Okay, some people have found that to be true. Would you say that's true for you? And if so, what are they?
Okay, repeat the question because I didn't hear the first part.
Okay, so some people say that their CRPS has brought positive things into their lives. So, if that's true for you, what would that be, and what are the negatives?
Well, let's see. The positive things are that I never knew I was as strong as a woman that I am. The positive thing was that it brought me even closer to God. It made me start reading the Bible again. it made me realize that how grass is never greener over the other side of the fence, that I will never, ever, ever in my life judge somebody who parks in a handicapped parking spot and doesn't look disabled.
Good one, yes.
I learned to be more loving, to be more forgiving. I learned how to write a book.
Awesome.
The negative thing that I learned about having this is that if people don't see it, they don't believe it, and that can be friends, family that you love very, very dearly. I think that was the worst part of having this, is hearing, oh, get up, you look fine, you can do this, what are you complaining about? You know, stop, why are you taking so much medicine? But I learned that don't judge them because I was a judger before. And you just accept people.
Yes, that's so true. I know about me too. It's okay. So, when you look for information for RSD CRPS, where would you say tell someone to look for the RSD CRPS information?
I go right to the RSD site. RSDA, I think it is. Yeah, I go right to their site, and matter of fact, when my RSD started acting up after this surgery, I went immediately there, and to be honest with you, I wasn't on that site for 7 years. I just kind of disconnected myself from everything. When I got off my medicine, I said, I don't want to know about it, I don't want to hear about it, I know I got it, and this is what it is, and I'm not going to start the merry-go-round looking again for doctors and stuff, but here I am, and I am, so. But that's where I go. And the American Pain Association is good. I guess, what is it, NIMS.gov or something like that?
Oh, yes.
Pain or something like that.
NIVI, I believe it is. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, that's what I do. I look at those things. Or I look up, the Schwartzman and Hushman. I look up their stuff, and, I just look around, see what's going on, see all the new medicines. I have no idea what they're talking about anymore because, I've kind of been out of the loop with the medication thing, but there's an awful lot of information that they have, but the best information I usually get is from folks like you. That's why I joined the group, so I could see what's going on, see if anything has changed, and it's basically everything is the same. They just come up with different medicines to treat people with. It's a shame that they're not even close to any type of cure.
So true. What tools, if any, have you learned to adapt to for your illness?
What tools?
Yes. Example, have there any tools or anything? Like some people with CRPS and that, they use specific clothes or such, and found that works for them. Me, I use satin sheets, and so forth. And I used to have like a little wedge that I had underneath my leg, but I finally gave that up and just used some pillows at times. But, some people find that there's certain tools that work for them that might be able to help others also.
I found that any type of pilling on clothing or sheets, I throw it out.
Okay.
I can't stand those little bumpies rubbing against me. I used these 100% cotton sateen sheets. They're not really satiny, but yet they are the most softest, like Egyptian cotton sheets you ever want to see. I learned how to taking a shower. I mean, we all have a problem with that. Turning down the head on the shower when you got to wash that side of your body, that helps. As far as sleeping, that hurts because I can't lay on the left side of my head. So I've learned to finagle, I have 3 pillows. One's foam and the other 2 are, I don't know what they are. I couldn't live without my foam pillow.
I actually use foam at times in the car for the vibrations, to help block the vibrations.
I cannot stand vibrations or noises, any type of loud noises either. It's horrible. But, if you can get yourself into a position where you're comfortable, that's what I do with my 3 pillows. I also learned that, how we get the sweats at night trying to sleep.
Yes.
Sleep with different layers, like the nice soft sheets. Or I found this blanket at Walmart. It's really, I call it my mushy mushy. It's really, really super soft, and it doesn't hurt my skin, and it feels so good against it. I use very soft blankets.
Yes.
Just anything that's not heavy. Polyester. I don't know if anybody else has a problem with it. I can't use it. But polyester sometimes make me very itchy, and then I get hives.
Yes.
So I have to watch the clothes that I buy also. For some reason, it just irritates the heck out of my skin. It makes that allodonia extremely sensitive. Okay,
I have 2 more questions. I know the time's getting short here, but the one question that I want to ask you, Donna, is if you had to give advice to someone new with complex regional pain syndrome, what would you tell them?
What would I tell them?
What kind of advice would you give them?
To not give up. That would be the biggest thing. Not give up finding the correct doctor. You've got to have, the biggest thing you've got to have is a support system. That is extremely, extremely important. To have someone with you, going to the doctors, helping you understand what's going on. That's the biggest thing of the RSD, CRPS, is getting diagnosed quickly and getting treatment quickly. And to research your brains out and get all the information that you possibly can to know to take to your doctors. But never, ever, ever give up and ever feel like you're alone, because you're not. There's millions of us out there. Millions of us.
Yeah, and I want to add to that, just to let them know that, there's a lot of support groups out there on Facebook and other places for, all I have to do is punch in RSD, CRPS, and it will lead you from one place to another. And
tell them also, too, Maria, that there's a lot of groups where, I'm going to be very honest, they're just full of drama. You don't need that when you have this.
Right.
You don't want you want the support. Yeah, there's some people that, spill out because you have to. But there's petty stuff on there that you don't need that,
Right, and that's anything in life, and so you have to really choose and be careful but not to give up, to find that perfect glove that fits over your hand. Because everybody's different. What works for one doesn't work for another, and I just want to say also too, just that we all remember that when we have CRPS, we all have flares, and sometimes we're all flaring at the same time. And so you have to be patient with yourself, patient with others, and don't be so hard on yourself, and not to take things personal.
You got to learn to laugh. You got to learn.
Absolutely.
Instead of cursing and getting angry and sitting down on the floor because you just dropped a glass of tea all over the floor you just washed.
Yeah.
I've learned to laugh about things like that. And I was never like that. I was type A, everything had to be perfect, this and
That's
that.
Right.
Well, guess your life isn't perfect anymore, and it never will be, and you better get over it. And the quicker you accept that, the quicker you're going to be able to deal better with the disease.
Exactly it. One last question.
Go for it.
Okay, so Donna, you said that you're in the middle of writing a book, or you finished your book, and you're in the middle of another book, or what types of events or projects are you working on, and if you want to share them with us.
What kind of projects am I working on? Well, Well, I'm always working on myself. That's one project we always work on. But I'm writing a sequel. My first book is Matthew's Discovery, and I'm working on the sequel now called Matthew's Quest. I haven't been able to put a lot into it, like I would like to, because like I told you, I had surgery a couple of months ago, and then I've got to have some more, and I've got to go to PT and things. But I really enjoy that, and that's about it. I mean, life is different, when you from where I was 14 years ago, working 16, 18 hours a day, to really being home now to some other medical problems. You learn to find things to do that you do because you enjoy, and that make you a better person. And whether that be writing, drawing was a great thing in the beginning when I got RSD. I drew pictures that scared the hell out of me, but it helped me realize what the ugliness of what that disease was doing to me. And I recommend that to a lot of people. I don't care if you went to art school or not, just draw. I never did either.
Yeah, it's great therapy. So where can we find your books at?
My book is on all the sites, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Sorry, I have a brain fart. We get those a lot, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Well,
but mostly Amazon. I usually first.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you, Donna, for coming tonight and sharing your story, and thank you for being so courageous. And I'm really sorry that you've had to deal with this for so long, or at all. But I really appreciate you coming to help others, and also we'll look forward to reading your book, your fiction book. The name of it again was
Matthew's Discovery.
Matthew's Discovery. And you can find that on Amazon. I'm sorry?
I said Matthew's Discovery by Donna McGee.
There you go. Okay, well, Donna, thank you for tonight, and I pray that you have a blessed evening, and thank you for joining us.
Well, I thank you, too, and if, like I say, I don't know how much help I would be to other people, but the best thing I can tell everybody is keep hope, keep prayer in your heart, and keep love in your heart, because you will have good and bad days, and that's just what you have to deal with. And thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome, and you have a good evening.
Okay, you
thank
too.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.